Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in the scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Once coaches get involved, of course, they've got their own opinions about what fits best for what they want to do, and that could be drastically different than what the scouts say.
Well, you're looking at traits, and I mean, he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
One thing good about Kevin, he's been with 2 other organizations, as well as being the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's been around.
The Bears.
With Greg Olson, Jerry didn't want to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. Nobody wanted to get rid of him. One guy wanted to get rid of him, Mike Martz, because Mike Martz didn't know what the hell to do with him. We tried to talk Lovey out of hiring Mike Martz for a month and a half. He's playing zone, but number one, he doesn't get enough depth with the drop. But who the hell's going? How many times does a 305, 310-pound defensive tackle drop into coverage, especially in a key situation?
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate. There's probably not as many real good quarterback evaluators as there needs to be.
The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Welcome everyone, another Victory Monday at the Barroom Network. This is GTF. My name is Aldo Gandia, and just want to let you know that we've got a full week of programming ahead. Best way to stay on top of stuff is to subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, or if you like it via audio podcast, make sure you are subscribed to the Barroom Network wherever you get your podcast. We have with us Greg Gabriel, who is in Detroit of all places. Greg, what are you doing in Detroit?
Well, this is where my wife lives right now.
For a while, anyway, huh?
Well, yeah, she lives among the enemy. I told her to go into work today and kind of brag about the Bears. No, I can't do that. But I mean, this is heavy lion country here.
Yeah, I bet. Well, she wants to endear herself to her employees, so I'm sure, bringing up the Bears being in first place would not go over well in Detroit.
Yeah, but I think when the Bears beat Detroit when Detroit comes into Chicago, I think she just owes it to herself that she's got to have a little fun.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. She probably won't do it.
I'm being told that the sound has an echo from Squeegee. Is that still going on? Sometimes the echo lasts for just a few seconds. So let me know, and then I'll press some buttons here. In the meantime, Z-Man Cubs with the $5 donation.
Oh, thank you so much.
This one was a true testament to coaching. Kudos to Dennis Allen for getting the linebackers ready, and Roshar for Ozzie. I was told Ozzie is a bust. LOL. The sound is echoing.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Let me ask people, is it echoing when both of us talk? Sounds good here. Oh, so Squeegee, if it's just you, you might have 2 windows open. Check that. So it's only on Greg's side, I'm told. Let me press a button here. I know
I can change the mic and go to the other one.
Let's see.
But that
is it better now for Greg? Talk to me, Greg.
Okay, I'm talking.
All right. Bad Kitty, which is Evie.
Audio sounds good.
All right. Squeegee says it was me. Sorry. Thanks, Squeegee. we still love you. All right. Let's talk about this football game yesterday. Greg, what are your initial thoughts? First of all, I got to say, on X yesterday, you said a lot of people had doubts that the Bears were going to win because they didn't have any their starting linebackers. Those aren't real Bears fans. You know what? I kind of agree with you.
I started seeing some stuff yesterday morning, and there's people. I mean, some are like writers or website writers or whatever, and I don't want to mention any names, but they go, I don't got a feeling about this game. Too many guys out, all this other stuff. And I said, hey, this is football, man. Next man in, next guy up, do your job. I said, one guy down is the next guy's opportunity.
That's right.
Perfect example. Ozzie Trapillo. Ozzie didn't play good. Ozzie played fucking great.
Excellent.
I did the game this morning, just did him. I did him and I did Luke Newman because you know how much I like Luke. And, you know, Luke played almost all the second quarter. Ozzie gave up. PFF said one pressure. I said two. I'll take my number. And there's one that you could think was a pressure, but it really wasn't. It was a screen pass to Swift out on in the left flat, and he's supposed to let the guy, you know, buy him a little bit. So, but all told, his pass blocking was really good. In fact, I tweeted out earlier, might have been the best pass blocking in years we've seen from a left tackle in a game. Now, in saying all that, I don't think he's quite as good a run blocker as Benedict yet.
I agree.
Doesn't mean he's going to. Benedict's a pretty damn good run blocker. But Ozzie, his run blocking was good too, just not as good as Theo's.
Yeah.
But God, the main job of a left tackle is to protect the passer because you got the blind side, and he just did an outstanding job.
He did. I got a little bit of tape. This is him versus Nick Herberg, the backup pass rusher for Highsmith, who was out. And on this play,
guy's got 6.5 sacks on the year, and he had 5.5 last year. It's not like he's a
absolutely. You're absolutely right. So it was a challenge for him, and he really came up big. Are his hands a little low there, or actually got one in the helmet there?
No, you know what? I thought his setup, the angles and the quickness of the setup, I thought was very good.
Okay, and I think he does the setup and angle really well here. Again, this is actually it's Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, no, he. When you think that this is his first real game at left tackle, I thought he played pretty good in the preseason. It wasn't up to the coach's standards, and the more you learn about Ben Johnson, the more we understand that. He's all about trust, and he doesn't want a guy going in there and make mistakes. And, we could say Lutherberg, perfect example why he wasn't getting a lot of reps early in the year. He did again yesterday. He screwed up on that one play. Ended up being a completion that got called back because there was really two guys in motion at the same time, and that was all on Lutherberg. And that's what I mean about the trust factor. So they didn't want to go into a game and have Ozzie at left tackle and not completely trust him that he was going to know. A lot of it's not just the physical, it's the mental.
Yeah.
The mental part. And, if you go off of yesterday, it's pretty damn good. Now, does that mean he holds on to the job? Who the hell knows? That's a coaching decision.
I've got one run play. I got actually a couple, but one that I especially want you to comment on. This is they're in the red zone. I think it's inside the 5, and it looks just like he's totally out of balance on this run play. Take a look at him. He's already leaning towards the right, maybe telegraphing a little bit that that's the direction he's going. You tell me. I'm going to run it again in slow motion.
He lost his balance on that. That's not a good play.
Yeah, is he leaning too far to the right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, I thought so.
And when they do the film study, he was trying to cut off the defensive tackle.
Right, and 97 pushes him when he's off balance. Yes,
right.
Which is why he goes down.
But I mean, he's trying to do a man over because you think Thuney's going over to the right, he's going over. He wanted to get a clean shot, and he was leaning. But now when they look at that on tape today, and there will be no day off today because it's a short week. They will, they'll show him that, and they'll say, "Look what you did here." And basically, he was giving away what they were trying to do by leaning like that.
Yeah, indeed. And I as I was looking for run plays on the NFL Plus, I only found like 3 plays where they ran to the left. So it was clear they were avoiding Ozzie as much as possible and having him run block. In fact, I got one here.
I did every snap this morning. Okay. Now the all-22 was not when I did this. It was like 6:30 this morning, so I had to use the condensed game. But I thought his run blocking, for the most part, was pretty clean.
Yeah, it is. Like on this play here, it looks like he's looking for who to block. See, right?
Right. There's already a hat on everybody.
Yeah. So that wasn't terrible on his part, huh? But overall, you're giving him a B+, A-.
Oh, when the most important job is to pass protect, he gets an A-.
Mm-hmm. And I'm being asked, does he win the job now? Is that his job, do you think?
We've just answered that. That's a coaching decision.
Yeah. J2K says, with Ozzie being the better pass blocker and Theo the better run blocker, it's just a matter of time before coaches move Ozzie to left tackle and Theo to jumbo set 6 offensive linemen?
Yeah, I've been saying all along, and you've heard me say it because I've done it on here, is that he will be the left tackle next year.
Mm-hmm.
It was getting, people say, oh, they're going to have to draft a left tackle. No, they didn't. They drafted him last year.
Right.
Too many people think they got to come in and play right away, and that's not always the case. Guy was a right tackle for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He had to get back comfortable with that position. And I know I sound like a broken record repeating myself, but, most teams would have lived with him. Yeah. Put him over there, lived with him, and this coach won't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, because what he's doing then is he's not giving anybody a break, not giving anybody a pass. You want to play, you earn it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Bellissimo says Ozzie's run blocking will come as he has more time with the number ones. He was chasing targets at times yesterday in the run game, and that's maybe not knowing where he's targeting with his 4 other offensive linemen. I think that's a good analysis by my guy.
That could be true. I don't know if I agree totally. And as you said, they didn't run a lot to the left side. But, I saw him get out to the second level. And I said when I tweeted it this morning, I said his run blocking was not as good as Theo's. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they ran a lot to the left with Theo in there. But the pass blocking was like head and shoulder above Theo.
Yeah, that there's no question there. I mean, this guy really was impressive with his pass blocking. Short turnaround on Friday. Do you think that's going to impact the decision as to who is the left tackle? Do you go with the guy who has had more snaps or not?
Good question. Part of it's going to be what condition is Theo in? He's got a thigh injury. How bad is that? Obviously, they scratched him yesterday. What was he, limited during the week?
Yes.
Okay, so Trapillo was getting, when you listen to Trapillo in the locker room after the game, he was getting the bulk of the reps anyway during the week. Mm-hmm. So, because they already knew what was going on, I think they listed Benedict as limited as to not show their hand that Trapillo was going to be starting at left tackle.
Yeah, indeed. And as our guy Z-Man Cubs one says, yesterday's victory was a tribute to the Bears coaching staff.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, everybody watching the morning football shows, and the lead was how Caleb played, Caleb. But the lead story was the backup linebackers coming in and doing such an efficient job. Now, they weren't perfect by any means.
No, well, I guarantee you, Aldo, that when Pittsburgh found out that they're going to be playing against backup linebackers. Mm-hmm. Now, it turns out you went to, I've lost the guy's name. The rookie, he gets Hippolyte gets hurt, and so now you got to go to number 3. So it's really like a third stringer, and Obagmiya, I think, is the
Yeah, I can't. So
Okay.
I'll
So
let you.
I think the G is silent on it. Oh, Bagmina. But they got to go to him. And did you see the stats? 15 and 14 tackles between the two
Yes.
linebackers. But what Pittsburgh was doing is trying to really, and you think they try to run straight at him, and they did some, but they were going on the perimeter and trying to get these guys to make mistakes.
Mhm.
And in some cases they did, but they played hard. Johnson got a game ball. It, when you think about it, that limited reps. Well, they got all the reps really during the week. Uh, but Hippolyte got the majority of the reps in practice. But for those guys to step in, what a lot of people said, well, your secondary was depleted, except for your corners were depleted. Stevenson goes down, 10, 12 snaps into the game.
Yep.
So you're playing with backup corners, two regular safeties, and all backups across the line as far as the linebackers. And the only starters you had were on the defensive line.
Yeah,
And
indeed.
you had one defensive lineman out too. When you think about it, he's been out for 3 weeks now.
Yeah. And Greg, you mentioned the amount of tackles Jackson and Amon had. The last time two Bears linebackers had more tackles, you were the scouting director for the Chicago Bears, was Urlacher with 19 and Briggs with 15 back in October in that famous game in Arizona. How about that? Thank you, Brad Biggs. Great stuff.
Oh, that was in Big T's?
In Big Ten, yes.
Okay.
One of the other things that he had in his top 10 thoughts was the opposition that the Bears have played again. And he listed the quarterbacks: Spencer Rattler, 13th career start; Tyler Huntley, 15th career start; Flacco, 198th veteran, but essentially the backup; Jackson Dart, his 7th career; J.J. McCarthy, his 5th career; and Mason Rudolph, his 19th career. And then he went on to say, right, the hope here is that the Bears, who didn't choose the schedule, have picked up some good habits along the way, learning how to win close games like this one. What do you think about what Biggs has done by pointing out the lack of experience in most of the quarterbacks during this win streak?
Well, it's a valid point, but at the same time, Dart comes in. He probably should have been playing right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, he's a rookie. You're going to have a limited number of starts. J.J. McCarthy was, in all essence, is a rookie, hurt all last year and hurt probably half of this year, and has really played terrible. The only game he played decent was really the second half against the Bears, really the fourth quarter against the Bears in the opening game. Other than that, he's been horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
And people are booing him in Minnesota. Thinking, they blew the pick, whatever, but we all know how that happens. That happens here all the time too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and speaking of other fans, God, the cheeseheads are getting real mouthy all of a sudden.
They are.
Jesus.
You've been battling with them too?
No, I just said the cheeseheads are getting a little loud lately. And they are. And you know what? They can be loud until we got to go up there in 2 weeks. So
yep, we got 2 more games with the Packers, or 2 games are 2 games with the Packers.
But the first one's up there. So
that's right. And I don't care where it is. I think this team could match up very well against the Packers. I just hope that Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson are back.
I think they'll be playing this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they had to play last week or yesterday, they probably would have. But
Mm-hmm.
you want another few days of conditioning.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure in the pregame or pre-pregame yesterday,
yeah,
they probably had those guys out running and doing stuff and getting a really good workout in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my thought was they probably, or at least Jalen probably could have played yesterday, but they thought, with the short turnaround to Friday, let's just go with what we have and make sure he's totally 100, as close to 100% as possible for Friday's game.
I wanted to bring it up because I said Luke Newman, and just so we don't forget. So he comes in Jackson gets hurt, Luke's got to come in. Now, I was thinking I didn't even think Newman was going in there. I was thinking Ryan Bates, because Ryan Bates has been a starter at right guard for Buffalo. He's got the experience. And I looked, no, it's Luke Newman. He played his ass off. There was one play, in fact, Watt, who was the analyst yesterday, even mentioned it. Now, why did they put an analyst in a game where his brother's playing? That's ridiculous. You should, change the crew in a situation like that.
I totally agree.
He even mentioned Newman on one play. Newman was 15 yards downfield, knocking the shit out of somebody.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. I saw a few snaps of Newman, and he looked impressive. One of the things also in Brad Bigg's 10 Thoughts that I thought was fascinating is a week ago, he talked with Tyson Bagent, and Bagent told him that this coaching staff does an incredible job of making sure the backups are ready for game action with how they're taught on the scout team and so forth. He says he's never seen anything like it. Now, Bagent is pretty young and doesn't have a lot of NFL experience, but nonetheless, it's proven that comment was right. To have all these backups come in and this team hardly missing a beat because their performance was better than average is another badge of honor for the Chicago Bears coaching staff.
Well, so, with that, you got the video of the locker room to go this week?
You want to? You want to go there?
We're doing it every week. We might as well. What the hell?
That's right. Here it is.
Hell yeah! I tell you what, it takes a village. It takes a village. And I'm talking about players. I'm talking about coaches. I'm talking about training staff. I'm talking about everybody in this building. Everybody. And here we are towards the back half of the season, and our depth is being tested. All right? It would have been so easy to walk. Man, how are we going to win this game? We got no linebackers. What are you talking about? We got no linebackers. How are we going to win this game? You guys don't bat an eye. Jonah Jackson goes down for a minute. Luke Newman steps up. Theo's down. Ozzie steps up. Man, I can keep going on and on and on and on, man. Credit to you guys. That's number 8. Yes, sir. That's number 8. All right? I got 2 game balls here. 2 game balls. Number 1 is this. Like I said, man, we had a lot of guys go down on defense. This guy stepped up. He wore the green dot. He had us going all game long. DJ, come on, baby.
Hey, man, I couldn't do it with everybody in this room, man. Yes, hey, like he said, it takes a village, man. The DBs from the D-line to the special teams to offense, man. We all had each other's back, man, and I appreciate y'all, boys.
Man, I tell you what, this guy's been getting hot lately. I don't know if you guys have been feeling it, but I certainly have. Since the bye week, it's just each week, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. It's going up. Give me a little Montez Sweat!
Hey, I just want y'all to know I appreciate everybody in this room, man. Let's keep going.
Yes, sir. Hey, breathe on in now, breathe on in. Good, better, bad. Good, better, bad. Never let it rest. Never let it rest. Good gets better. Good gets better. And you better gets better. And you better gets better. Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bears.
It will never get old. Never.
That one was better than last week, though. Last week was a little.
Yeah, I agree. Some are a little better than others.
Yeah, no, that one was good again. Being my wife lives here, she hasn't seen any of that. So I played it. I couldn't play it in the car when we were driving, so I played it when we got here to her place. She goes, "He sounds like a preacher."
He does have a little bit of that in him. And I got a soundbite of Coach Johnson after the game talking about the improved play of Montez Sweat.
I mean, he's just.
This is also and Montez Sweat commented.
I mean, he's been heating up since the bye week. Tez has, and you've just felt it each week. He seems to impact the game a little bit more each week, and so I think he had 2. Is that right? And had a chance for a third. It felt like out there. From my count,
I think I'm just taking advantage of my opportunities. Early in the season, I felt like I was playing good ball, but the stats is starting to come through for me, and it's a blessing. But we still got a lot more left on the table to get cleaned up.
I feel him. I feel Grady. I feel Book. I feel all those guys. And, it's whenever we get that 2-score lead there, that's when it certainly starts playing in our favor a little bit more as well.
Outstanding. I think this is a life lesson for us Chicago Bears fans who, week 2, week 3, we need a defensive end. We need let's try to develop the guys we have before we trade away future draft assets because everybody's panicking.
That's what fans do. And fans are going to, they've done it for the last 50 years and they're going to do it for the next 50.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're called armchair general managers, armchair coaches. They know more than the guys making the decision.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fair. They pay their dime. They get their chance to talk. So,
indeed. Now, I love what Montez.
Right.
Yeah, I love what Montez Sweat there. He says, I'm taking advantage of my opportunities. Both of those sacks came against Darnell Washington, who's one of the best blocking tight ends in football. But the best blocking tight end in football should not be able to control Montez Sweat. And he almost had
he's really a tackle, though. The dude weighs 311 pounds.
Yeah, very true.
So,
he doesn't have the ass of a tackle, though. It's more slender.
That's a big dude, and he's more athletic than most tackles. And speaking of that tight end, I'll tell you, your neighbor did a hell of a job pass blocking.
Cole Kmet. That's right, baby. When he's from Arlington Heights, he's got to represent.
Because I saw them hold. In fact, a few times it was on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
And it really did. His improvement in blocking both the run game and the pass game has been dramatic this season.
Yeah, it has been. He's accepted the new role with Loveland, and because he was in his previous years. Yes, he was supposed to be that inline blocking tight end, but he was asked to do a lot of the pass catching for the Bears too, because they just didn't have a pass catching tight end. And by the way, Lutz is in the house. And he's got a $5 donation for us. And he says, I haven't enjoyed watching a Bears team grow since 1985 and 2006 teams. Coincidentally, excellent GMs. Ryan Poles gets my NFL Exec of the Year vote. And I got to hand it to Lutz. He's been predicting that Poles could win that award since before the Bears started winning. He just had a feeling, and he's also had a feeling that Dan Campbell would falter in his first year calling plays. So, kudos to you, Lutz.
Well, I didn't watch. Obviously, I didn't see any of that Giants game, and I thought for a while the way it was going, the Lions were going to lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like the Giants had been all year, they gave the lead away, and that ended up losing in overtime. As you see, the defensive coordinator got fired this morning. He should have been fired when Daboll got fired.
Oh my goodness! What are they doing over there?
The disaster in Denver was the worst. I mean, they have a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter,
right?
And they lose the game. I mean, that was crazy. But that team, if they had and they've got players. It's like the defense doesn't have players. They've got players on paper. If they played any defense, they would have won 4 more games.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. I want you to talk a little bit about the cornerback Nahshon Wright, because this guy, he is now tied for in the NFL for most interceptions with Tremaine Edmonds, and we'll talk about Edmonds in a minute. But Nahshon Wright has all of the tools that I love in a cornerback. That length is unbelievable. Talk to me about Wright and what you like about him.
Well, he's a press corner, so he's not going to be as good in off coverage and in zone. Going back to last week, there's a couple times where he gets beat by a quick move. And that's, he's tall, he's leggy. He doesn't have that real quick, I call it suddenness, with his feet that some of the shorter guys have. But you put him in press, he's going to stay with the guy, especially on a lot of those deeper balls. And if it's a jump ball, he had one and he very well could have had 2, basically on the same type of route along the same sideline, the left sideline of the offense. And he's just got really good ball skills. Now, in saying that, when everybody's healthy, he's a backup.
Yeah.
And that's pretty damn good backup to have.
It's so true.
Now, Watt said it yesterday, really pretty accurately. He goes, he might earn himself a pretty good payday.
Yeah.
Because he's on a 1-year contract. And the Bears could say, okay, we'll give you $2 million for next year. And the agent said, that's it. Let's test the market.
Exactly.
Somebody might want to cough up $8-10 million for him.
Yeah, that's true. I think this guy's value is increasing with each game. I mean, he could end up top interception guy or top 5 interception guy. That's going to make you some money in free agency, no doubt about it.
No question.
But he's also just seems like a really nice guy. Every time he's interviewed, he seems like a guy you like to have in the locker room. Do you think, and I apologize, somebody mentioned this in the chat, I didn't get the name, but somebody says that when everybody comes back, perhaps Wright is going to supplant Tyreek in terms of getting snaps. Do you think that's possible?
I can't answer that. That's a coaching decision. And he's been playing on the right side all year, and then you're going to put him over on the left side? Yeah. It's like moving a right tackle to left tackle. It's not the easiest thing to do because your turn is different. A lot of times he's turning to his right, as a press corner. Where if you put him on the other side, he's turning to his left. The footwork's a little different. I'm not going to say it can't be done.
Right.
Just saying it's not as easy. Oh, let's put him over there and take Tyreek out. Well, Tyreek has played pretty darn good ball all year, and it's going to be what the coaches want. I mean, it's a good problem to have. Yeah, because nothing wrong with having too many good players now.
Mm-hmm. Love that problem.
You're going to have just about everybody back in the secondary now this week, unless Stevenson's going to be out. How are they going to work that between Kyler Gordon and CJ? Or maybe if Stevenson can't play, maybe Kyler Gordon goes outside. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
And there's absolutely no way Nashawn can play the slot because, as you said earlier, it doesn't have that suddenness, right?
Right.
Okay. So something to keep an eye on. And somebody just mentioned Tyreek might need another week or two just to ramp up. So that would mean more playing time for Nashawn, but we'll be keeping an eye on that. I want to talk now about just overall the Bears play on defense. Check this out. I wrote this down. The Bears had touchdown scoring drives of 56, 70, 60, and 54. When you are giving this offense half the field to score a touchdown, they're pretty damn good at that, And so these are touchdown scoring drives. 56, 70 is, of course, a long one, but 56, 60, and 54 yards is great, and that's because special teams and defense are getting the job done as they did yesterday.
Now, the 60-yarder, that was due to a penalty that was miscalled.
Good call,
originally, on Pittsburgh. They originally called it a hold on the Bears, and it was a hold on the Steelers. That was a 35-yard difference. The Bears would have had the ball at the 5-yard line versus the 40-yard line. And then they from the 40, they take it in a few plays.
Yeah, indeed. I just saw it in chat. Somebody says, "Can we sign Ben Johnson to a forever contract now?" Nick Holbrook said that. What can you do if you fall in love with a head coach, at an organization? What can they do to show their appreciation within the rules? I'm not talking about a Christmas present. Is there anything that you can do, like rename Hallis Hall after him or something?
Well, that's not going to happen as long as the McCaskey family's around. Let's not get the.
I know we're all giddy here.
There's some real tough games coming up here, and you still got a team. Put it this way: I'm not putting a guarantee on this week. I put a guarantee on 4 weeks in a row. I'm not doing it this week. Phillies, and it surprised me that Philly lost to Dallas. I don't know how they came out of it. I didn't see any of the game. I don't know how they came out of it. injury-wise or whatever. But they're playing at home in Philly. They're coming off a loss. It's going to be a tough football game.
That is going to be a tough physical game indeed. Now, we're going to talk more about the play, particularly the offense, in a moment. But since we're on the topic of the Eagles, Calvin had this question for you. What scenario do you see us having a victory against Philadelphia?
Everything's got to work. I mean, you know, I saw one thing. Orlovsky had a thing on X this morning, and he said Saquon Barkley is, arguably the best running back in the game. He had more tackles for losses this year than Genty, and Genty's had a shitload.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was really a surprising stat, because they got this awesome offensive line, yet they're not holding up as well as people would think they're holding up.
Indeed.
And then there's been some griping, at least in Philly, I don't know, nationally, that Jalen Hurts isn't playing real good.
I think Hurts, this is what I heard from one of the commentators this morning, is that the play calling is something out of Madden, where you're just picking a play. They're not setting up. They're not scheming. They got
a new coordinator.
That's right. They've been changing coordinators there almost annually. So that's got to be a problem. It's been a challenge for Jalen Hurts, and now I think it's a challenge for Saquon. Let me show you this, Greg. This was the Bears' performance against the Steelers' run game. And this tells me, to answer that gentleman's question, number one, we have to stop Jalen Hurts and Barkley. And that might not be a tall order, but we got to stop that run game of the Eagles. We cannot allow runs of 55 yards like Gainwell had.
Okay, by the way. And that was, reality was, it was a hell of a play call.
Yeah.
The way they did it. I mean, everybody's expecting something inside. They run it outside. Arthur Smith, deserves a pat on the back for that. Great play call. And, as soon as he gets outside, it was history. It was a touchdown. But take that 51 yards away. Now you got 35 for 135 or something. And, numbers are a little bit different.
So I totally agree. That's a great point, because now you're saying 9 rushes for Kenneth, 40 some yards. Absolutely right. But there was this effect during the game that the Bears were unable to control the run game, because they were kind of focused on maybe stopping the tight ends, stopping the short passing game, pressuring Mason Rudolph.
Pittsburgh deliberately trying to run the ball because of you had backup linebackers in there. And again, they were doing a lot of stuff to the outside where, you would think it'd be more effective going inside. And they had some inside runs, but they did a lot of stuff to make those guys run and make them make mistakes.
Yeah. Okay. Boy, a lot of the chat is talking about the offense and the defense, and I feel like we can talk the entire show on just the defense. Somebody just brought up the play of Nick McLeod, the cornerback. I thought he came in.
He came in and really probably played his best game since he's been a Bear.
Yes, indeed. I was a little worried because he was I thought the Steelers were kind of suckering into getting an unsportsmanlike because he was involved in a lot of pushing and shoving and talking and stuff like that. But he maintained his composure and had a really solid game. Thank you, Nick McLeod.
How about the one guy I was worried about with an injured secondary was Metcalf.
Yeah.
Did Metcalf do anything?
Got injured a couple times and bitched and hollered.
Really, he really did nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
No, he did hurt an ankle or something in the first half, but he came back in.
Mm-hmm. All right, before we start talking about the offense, I got one more question regarding the defense. I am of the opinion, and maybe this is just a fan in me, because I'm 99% fan and 1% terrible analyst. if Aaron Rodgers was playing yesterday, do you think the defense would have had a considerably, let's phrase it that way, a considerably less performance? I am of the opinion that I think we could have really knocked Rodgers around still, like we harassed Rudolph.
I'm going to be totally honest on this.
Okay, please.
I thought that it was going to be detrimental to the Bears with Mason Rudolph playing, who was more athletic than Rodgers.
Thank you.
Never think about being right now at 41 years old. You know, Rodgers is like Joe Flacco. He can't get out.
Exactly.
He can't get out of his own way. This guy, Mason Rudolph, made some plays with his feet, got himself out of some sacks with his feet. Rodgers is going to get the ball out of his hand. But, you know, it's not like Mason Rudolph didn't complete a lot of passes. His completion percentage was like 75% or something. I mean, it was crazy good at one point. I don't know what it finished out, but it was all really short stuff. There was one ball thrown over 10 yards.
Yep. Now, Kate is saying Rudolph can't throw medium or deep. It was all dunk and dink, or dink and dunk.
Well, hey, it was move the chains. Hold on to the ball and move the chains, because we don't want them to get the ball, because they got an explosive offense.
Yes, that second drive, you know, I think Kevin Byard, this again, Brad Biggs, excellent job of talking to players in the locker room afterwards. Kevin Byard said, after we detected what their game plan was going to be, that dink and dunk, we then now had a really good take on what their game plan was going to be. And so we adjusted and they started to play better. And then when the Bears got the lead, they had to change, the Steelers had to change their game plan, and we were able to rush the quarterback and get some sacks. Why are you smiling like that?
No, just I got a text. It was just.
I noticed you read something and you got that grin on your face. Oh, okay. Let us now talk about the offense. Of course, the offense played well, but we always have to nitpick on Caleb Williams. And yesterday, the accuracy issues, particularly early in the game, hampered his play. This is Caleb on those misses.
In the beginning, it didn't feel like I got into a good rhythm. I was missing passes and it was it was kind of weird. It was just I wasn't too frustrated like the couple of weeks ago where I was just missing, and I got supremely frustrated and things like that. I understood, and I wrote on my notes for myself to stay positive for myself, but also the guys. And I think I did a solid job with that this week, and just was missing. And it was like I said, on passes and routes that I've been hitting the past couple of weeks and been pretty good with. And so we'll figure it out. We'll go back and watch and figure out why.
Your thoughts?
I'd watched that earlier. I thought that he answered it pretty evenly. I think he comes out a little bit tight, because it's like it's almost like an every week thing, and it's like whether he's pumped up or what. But then once he gets relaxed, then he starts. I mean, you can talk about the accuracy all you want. He still makes some freaking throws that very few people can make. When he's got a gun, it's just like, I just keep looking at it this way. He's having a really good season. If anybody wants to, in fact, now I never listen to the radio anymore, but because I was driving yesterday after the game.
Oh no, who were you listening to?
No, I listened to the score because I had Yurko on. And Yurko's so far out in left field, I had to turn that off. So I went over to the score, which was Olin and Mully and Pat Manley. And obviously I know all those people really well.
Yeah.
But some guy calls in and he goes, how can they have Caleb a quarterback? He goes, he doesn't know any. He has no feel for the game. How does he throw an incomplete pass on that third down? Well, it was only a one receiver pattern. We're talking about on the second last drive when they were trying to run the clock.
Right,
It was
right.
3rd and 9. It was looked like a one receiver pattern. He was being rushed. What did you want him to do? You know, I mean, some of the comments that people have are just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, could you have just run the ball and make them use the timeout? Yes, could have done that. As it worked out, though, one of their players got hurt, and that's another thing you got to bring up. Somebody said, "Well, that shouldn't have been an injury timeout." Yes, it should, because all it was an incomplete pass, stops the clock, but the 35-second clock starts right away. And because of the injury, you have to stop the 35-second clock.
Right.
And so it is a legitimate reason to penalize the other team who has, that final timeout.
Yep. And let me tell you something. I got a text from my good friend Dan Aguirre. He told me he religiously listens to Ed O'Bradovich and Dan Hampton over at WGN, and he said, I had to stop. I'm never going to listen to those guys again because every week, despite the fact that the Bears are winning, they are complaining so much. And I stopped listening to them a while back because I get the feeling that they had not adopted to the new NFL. They're still applying the way they played to the NFL game today, which is totally different than it was in the 60s when Ed O'Bradovich played and the 80s when Dan Hampton played. So
I haven't heard O'Bradovich in, I bet, 15 years on the radio.
Don't. I'm sorry, Ed, but don't. I love you, Ed, but don't.
You have a valid point, but I mean, I'm older than those guys, and obviously I didn't play in the NFL where I played football. And yeah, the game's totally different, but you're supposed to evolve with the game,
right? Absolutely,
and understand how the game's being played. The rules have changed. You could do things a lot differently when they were playing than you can do now.
Yeah. Well, and I think that in your role, because you're still working professionally in evaluating players, you need to stay on top of those trends and so forth. Sometimes, a lot of times, these ex-players who are now in media analysis, they don't make that shift. I see that in basketball a lot. I'm not going to mention a name, but there are some basketball commentators who don't know about new defenses in basketball. They never bring it up. Anyway, let's move on.
The funny thing about basketball is that when I was growing up, it was a center-oriented game.
Right.
Okay, and so you had to get that big center. You had to, and you fed him the ball. It's not a center game anymore. It's an outside game.
Right.
And so, the game's played totally different. You're playing with a smaller team than you used to back in those times. A team. Things change. Get with the picture.
Indeed. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the offense. I was a little disappointed with the Bears running game last year. At one point, Ben Johnson called 18 straight run games. Do I have Bears?
Pass plays, I think he called.
Pass plays. You're right.
I think Pittsburgh. They saw Pittsburgh was going in and saying, we're stopping the run.
Yeah.
And then we're going to rush the passer. They got some runs. It started slowly. You only can do what the defense is allowing you to do. But then but at the same time, you don't give up what some of your bread and butter is. Okay, you got to keep doing it. Yeah, the numbers were down, but there were still some effective runs. And I gotta say right now, none guy is earning the extra carries.
Yeah,
that he's getting.
I think you're right. I really do. And it doesn't appear like he's missing anything in the pass blocking game. I can't say with 100% certainty, but I haven't seen a screw up.
He's never fumbled. If he fumbled in high school, that's the last time, because he went through his whole time at Rutgers without putting the ball on the ground. He's never put the ball on the ground here. And, if you watch closely, Bieniemy ripped Swift a new one after that fumble. Did you see it on the sideline?
Yeah, I sure did.
I mean, and like Swift was trying to walk away from him. Bieniemy wasn't having any part of it.
And Swift looked like he was trying to make his case, like, you know.
I'm not so sure that was a fumble.
Yeah, I agree.
But the call on the field was a fumble, and there wasn't anything to overturn it because you're in this big pile. A couple of the angles I looked at were forward, because if he lost it after he was knocked back. So forward motion was already established. Could he have lost it? Was there at any point on the video, and if somebody saw it, please mention it on here, I never saw him really lose the ball.
Yeah.
Replays. Now, could he have? Yeah, I just didn't see it myself. But I'm not going to, scream and holler about it. Nothing happened. Pittsburgh, I don't think, scored out of that. But at the same time, when a guy coughs up the ball, whether it was a good call or a bad call, you got to pay for it. And by paying for it, you don't get as many carries. The other guy does. Yes. I remember I might have told the story before, and this goes way back to my early years with the Giants. We bring in Otis Anderson, really be a second back. And Otis had a great career, perennial Pro Bowl career with the old St. Louis Cardinals before we got him. But he had a penchant for putting the ball on the ground. And Parcells told him first day of camp, called him over. He said, "You put the ball on the ground once, and you'll never see the ball again." He goes, fumbling is a mental issue, not a physical issue.
Wow.
And it is. It's you concentrate on protecting the ball, you will protect the ball. OJ never fumbled once he came with us.
And Greg, I got to tell you, man, sometimes I wonder, you got some really strong guys pulling away at that ball. I know you're supposed to hold the ball up high under the armpit and so forth. Tiki Barber was an example of a guy who cured the problem. But sometimes I wonder how these guys can still hold on to the ball when you got a 250-pound linebacker who is lifting, 10,000 pounds in a weight room.
I get it, but you got all your force. I wish I had one of my balls here. Hold on to that, and you're supposed to. You get into a pile, you go like this. Okay, and you're covering up. I'll go way back here because he was famous for it. O.J. Simpson, when he was out making cuts and stuff, ball was way out here.
Yes,
go back and watch some tapes.
Oh yeah.
It's just that nobody ever learned how to knock it out of his hand.
Yes, Dr. Truth. I wrote down the number, so I got that. All right. So somebody had a question I would like for you to address. You already talked about the play, that Gainwell run. It was a tush push play. Let's see how he phrased Mr. Englewood. Can you ask Greg about that fake tush push play catching the Bears off guard and the boo-boo by the CBS live coverage? They had a commercial up on the screen side by side with the picture, and they almost missed the whole entire play.
You're talking about the 51-yard touchdown run?
No. Was it a touchdown? No, I thought it was they did a fake tush push, and he took it all the way to the red zone. Did he score on that play?
You're talking Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a touchdown.
Okay, my bad.
It was that was the 51-yard run. You said you take away that, looks like you're going to do an inside. Everybody's expecting it. Everybody's sucked in. They run it outside, and it was a great play call by Arthur Smith.
Yes, and CBS
but now what
almost
you're
missed
do it. Somebody else is going to do it too now.
Yeah, they see. I'm getting confirmation. They called it. They called it short. He landed near the goal.
You're talking about the other one they called short. Yeah, that was short in my opinion.
Okay, wasn't that the tush push play?
They both were.
Oh, okay. See,
the one where
I need to start drinking.
The first one, the Bears stopped.
Right.
Okay. And
yes.
It was a turnover on downs. They did it again.
Right.
And then they took it outside for a 51-yard touchdown.
Yes. Yeah. And by the way,
I'll be on mute for a second so I can cough.
You got it. And I agree with everyone in the chat. The CBS broadcast did suck, and it's too bad because I do like the play-by-play guy, but having JJ Watt there talking about his brother, that just seems inappropriate. You know, you want unbiased reporting, and so when a guy is reporting on a game with his brother playing, that's a no-no. And then he's celebrating the breaking of the record, and then they show a video of the fullback brother talking and so forth. I don't want to hear that.
I agree. You shouldn't have siblings doing the same game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, it's to me that's ridiculous. When I saw that, and I didn't. A lot of times, Big Z has early on who's going to be covering the game, but in this case, I didn't. It probably was out. I just didn't see it. But they had JJ Watt being the analyst for one of his brother's games was just crazy to me. And then Mom and Dad were up in the in the stands. They knew where they were because they put the camera on them.
Yep. Mention it once, but it shouldn't be a recurring storyline in the game. All right. Brummy Bear asks you, do you think Caleb is putting too much smoke on the ball, which is affecting his accuracy? And let me add some of the drops. Do you think he's loading up too much on his fastball?
We talked about that last week a little bit.
Yes, we did.
And we thought, that's probably part of the next evolution of his game is learning to throw with touch at the opportune time. Yeah. There's times when you got to gun it.
Yep.
And there's other times when you can put a little touch. Now, there have been some balls that he has thrown. I didn't really see any yesterday, but in other games, I'm having a problem with my coffee today, guys. Sorry.
That's okay.
But I have seen him throw some really nice touch balls. You just got to do it. You got to look at what the defense is doing, how open is the guy, and if you can put a little touch on the ball, do it.
Mm-hmm. People are also asking about his arm angle. Does an arm angle make throws sail high sometimes?
I have to see the particular throw because a lot of times it's not arm angle, it's footwork.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you don't have your feet totally in sync, the ball will sail. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, the ones he's missing on, a good percentage of the ones he's missing on, he's not missing by a lot. Not like he's missing it by yards. Like there was one, a wide open Romadunze over the middle. I mean, we're talking he missed on it by about this much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and he took the beat. He goes, that one's on me. He said, and the thing, he's got to get, and he's had a couple the last few weeks. But I think people are still looking for ways to criticize him. Is the completion percentage exactly where you want it? No. But the dude keeps coming up with big play after big play every single week.
Yeah, he sure does. Is there anything at all at this point of Caleb Williams's development and career in the NFL, anything that concerns you, or are you feeling the progression is there, he's doing well, everybody calm down who is worried about Caleb Williams? What are your thoughts?
There is nothing that I'm worried about in his, I don't want to say transformation, growth, development. I think I might have mentioned it a little earlier. He's this good now. Wait till you see how he is next year and even the year after.
Mm-hmm.
People want to say, well, Jason Goff did this. Jason Goff played 5 or 6 years in the league before he even went to Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Jason Goff went to a Super Bowl in L.A. before he went to Ben Johnson. Mm-hmm. So, he was a very experienced quarterback who had been in big games, where this was Caleb's second year, whose rookie year was a wash because of the circumstances, yet they're still putting up, 28 points a game, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, so let's not complain. It's all I know is 8 out of freaking 9, man. And that's all that matters. And I don't care how they win it.
That's right. That's right.
I said going in 9-7. That was my thought.
Yeah, well, they're going to blow that out of the water.
Well, I mean, they got some tough games, and they're going to win. But they've won 8. I don't think that 11 is out of their reach.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Lee Bruin says we just need one more win and we'll have a plus 500 season. That
Right.
to me is amazing.
Well, that's Cleveland, but okay. Now, and then after Cleveland, you need a couple more. Most of the time, 10 wins is going to get you in the playoffs, but it's not a lock. And the way the NFC is right now, it probably wouldn't be a lock. I think 11 would. So you need 3 more wins, but in theory, you need some of those wins to be against the North teams.
Yeah. It was funny too. Caleb was asked, do you think it's okay if fans start talking about playoffs? And he kind of shyly said, I'm not going to tell the fans, what to talk about. But I know that we've got a lot of work to do and so forth. And the way he said it, I wish I would have pulled the bite. But the way he said it was kind of a Cheshire cat smile that they're thinking about the playoffs. They're thinking,
you win 8 out of 9.
Hell yeah, you got to think about
it. You got to win, and they're winning the close games. And there's a bunch of things out. People say, "Oh, they haven't beat anybody." And going into last week, somebody said, "Well, yeah, let's break down Detroit's record and see how many winning teams they had beat." You know how many it was?
How many?
1.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so people want to have. Stupid people want to have stupid arguments. Try to create a narrative. You only can play who you play. Pittsburgh was a team with a winning record.
Yeah.
Okay, now you want to make the playoffs, you got to win your games at home and win half your games on the road. Well, they lost 1 game at home, they've won the rest, and they've won 4 games on the road. So they're in the right. They're trending the right way. The injuries are a concern. How much longer is TJ going to be out? Is TJ going to be able to play against his old team? I guarantee it. TJ would love to play against Philly. Will he be able to play against Philly? We'll know that. They're really because the game's Friday. They'll probably have 2 practices. Really a walkthrough and a practice. Instead of like Thursday where you have 1 practice.
Right. Yeah, Ben didn't specify what the practices are, but this is what he said about preparing for Friday.
Well, I mean, it's something we've been mindful of the moment the schedule came out. And so our coaches, I know our defensive coaches were certainly in the office a little bit later towards the end of the week there, getting ahead. We'll have some coaches going to the office after the game here tonight. And then, tomorrow it's going to be full steam ahead. So we actually get an extra day. Normally you go Sunday to Thursday at least once a year. So Sunday to Friday is actually going to be pretty nice.
It's a great point. It's an extra day because you got to play a Thursday game during the season. The Bears get a little lucky there. It's a Friday game.
They got to travel, but at the same time, maybe you look for just little tiny things. Philly played the later game on the road.
I like it. I like going to, I am of the opinion. I wanted the Bears to play Aaron Rodgers, and I want this Bears team to go to Philadelphia and play really, really well. And Kyle Brandt said it perfectly last week. He said that if the Bears go to Philadelphia and lose 26-24, that, I don't want participation trophies, but that is actually a good sign. When you go to an opposing field, defending Super Bowl champions, and play at a high level, that would be great. But let's win the game. I'm not.
The only game that was out of reach was the Detroit game. And I have a strong suspicion that that's going to be flipped in a few weeks when they play here. Don't forget, it's, and I say here, and I'm sitting in Detroit, when they play in Chicago, they're a dome team. It's going to be playing outside in December.
Yeah. How about that? All right, let us. I got somebody mentioned about the coaching staff. I talked about it earlier. I do have a soundbite from Ben Johnson talking about the coaches that I'd like to share with you all.
You can't understate the importance of these guys. I'm talking about the coaching staff. That's all three phases. They do a phenomenal job of piecing this thing together. We meet early in the week and we kind of forecast how we think it's going to go. And then the week of practice kind of dictates who's going to be up and who's going to be down to a degree. But each week's a little bit different story. And like I said, you got different guys stepping up and answering that bell. And that's why the week of preparation is so important for us too. These young players, they get a chance to instill confidence in the coaching staff and find a role and a niche when there's an opportunity available. So it's good.
Greg, I know I'm sounding like a homer, but when this season is all said and done, there should be like a Harvard Business Review article on how Ryan Poles has transformed this team. First by the hiring of Ben Johnson, then by the hiring of this extraordinary coaching staff, and then drafting and acquiring players that fit perfectly for what these coaches want out of their team. This is extraordinary, and I'm giddy about it.
Well, there's one part I disagree with you, and that's the hiring of the coaches. That's pretty much the head coach's job.
Okay.
He hires his staff.
Mm-hmm.
And he determines if there's anybody that they want to hold over. They interview the coaches from the old staff,
mm-hmm.
determine who they want to hold on to, who they don't want to hold on to. They kept one position coach, and that was a tight end coach, but they kept a few of the other guys that were quality control guys and stuff because they were obviously, doing a pretty good job, and Johnson liked the work they had done previously. So, and they're not position coaches, but you see, in the course of practice, especially in training camp, you see some of those guys working with a different position, so they get the experience to do that. But all in all, except for maybe a few coaches, the head coach is the guy that hires. I'm not going to say that happens everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The head coach is the guy that hires a majority of the staff, especially picking the coordinators he wants. Like he had in mind who he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
With DA. He said he talked to DA. I mean, after DA got fired by New Orleans, he gave him a call. Mm-hmm. He knew he was going to be a head coach this year.
Tom Pelissero every year writes a column around this time of the year about coordinators and other coaches who are being talked about as potential head coaches down the line. Declan Doyle was on that list. Not so much that he would be offered a head coaching job in 2026, but somebody that GMs would want to start to get to know, bring him in and interview, pick his brain on certain things, because he's the praise that he's getting and the wisdom he's acquiring by being around Ben Johnson and the other coaches. Pretty cool.
It's probably too soon for him to legitimately, be a strong candidate.
Right.
Is he a candidate to interview if you got the opportunity? Sure. But this is the first time he's been in a coordinator's role. And reality is he's not the real coordinator. This is Ben's offense. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Ben calls the plays. But you could say the same thing about McDonald when he was in or McDaniel rather, when he was out in San Francisco and is now at Miami.
Yeah.
Shanahan was the OC.
Yeah.
But he's learning. He's still a young guy. How old is he 30 yet? I don't think he's 30.
Doyle, yeah, I don't know. Anyone in the chat, help us out with
I think he was 29 or something.
Yeah, I think he just got his
speaking of him, there's one thing, and it really bugged me back when he was hired. One radio guy who no longer a radio guy,
mm-hmm.
because his mouth got him. He started bitching about that hire because his father, who was a longtime strength coach at Iowa, got fired because of the way he acted. Yeah. What the hell does that got to do with the kid?
Yeah. Yeah. I know who you're talking about, and I remember him saying that, and remember you commenting on it before. Absolutely, I totally agree. I think a lot of people in the chat can guess who that is. By the way, Lutz continues to buy drinks for everybody, another donation, and he writes this time, quote, "Stupid people want to have stupid arguments," unquote. Can I quote Greg on this one next time I'm in a bar?
Yeah.
I love it, Lutz.
If you get hit in the face, though, I don't want to hear about it.
Lutz is a former Chicago police officer. I think he can take care of himself pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure he could. I didn't know he was a cop. So
He's a great guy too. Thank you, Lutz, for the donations and the commentary. And by the way, he does some writing for Patch.com. You should follow him.
Yeah, he had a good article last week.
Yeah, he quoted me, so it was especially good. The premise of the article is that the NFL is diluting the talent, and it's just, sometimes it's unwatchable because of 32 teams, the coverage on.
Yeah, there's been 32 teams for a while.
That is true,
and they really, when you think about it, and part of it's because they're not partners with the UFL, formerly the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the reasons the practice squad rosters went from 10 to 12 to 15 or 16, wherever the hell it is now. And because they're trying to keep players away from that league.
Yeah.
And so the league is doing all they can, but I firmly believe, and when I was working in the XFL, there were some GMs I were talking about, and they were all for it, that the XFL at the time should become a farm system for the teams. NFL Europe played that role. We'd send over half a dozen players to play in NFL Europe. Most of them practice squad guys.
Right.
And a couple back of the roster guys, like you might send your second or third quarterback over to play in NFL Europe because that gave him opportunity to play some live football.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea now. I don't like how the UFL, we started our schedule with the XFL back in 2020, literally the week after the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these guys started a month later than that, and they're going up until a month before training camp opens. That doesn't give those guys the recovery time they need after playing. If they're in the playoffs, or they're playing up to 12 games, they're playing at least 10 games, and it just, they just don't have enough time for even if they ended in early May, it's not a lot of time, but it's more time than ending in 5 weeks, 4 weeks before the NFL opens their camps.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff there, Greg. A lot of people seem to have joined us in the last 30, 45 minutes because we talked about Ozzie Trapilo, but they're asking a lot of questions about Ozzie. So I'm going to ask you, Greg, can you kind of provide the headlines about your evaluation of how Ozzie Trapilo played that left tackle yesterday, his first NFL start?
Yeah, I wanted really to be heads up on it going into this today, so I watched it this morning. When I put it on, the all 22 wasn't out yet, so I had to watch the condensed game. And and sometimes it's real easy to watch a play over, but it's still the sideline view. His pass blocking was excellent. PFF gave one pressure, giving up one pressure. I thought it was two, but all told, his overall pass blocking was really, really good. And I posted it on X earlier today. Might be the best pass blocking from a left tackle that we've seen in years for the Bears.
Yep.
The run blocking was good, but not to the level Theo has been run blocking the last few weeks. But can it get better? Because he was known as a great run blocker at Boston College, but he's also playing on the other side. So, yeah, it will get better. But, does he hold on to the job right now, or do they go back with the guy with the most reps? Well, first of all, what's the injury status of Theo? We don't know that. And then if Theo can't play against Philly, and this guy plays like he did yesterday, how do you take the job away from him?
Yep. Good stuff, Greg. That's a let me write down the time there. I'm going to put that up on the formerly known as Twitter. That little evaluation of Ozzie Trapillo. By the way, radio stations in Chicago, you should be calling Greg Gabriel up and having him do post game instead of some of these guys that we're tired of listening to.
Like I said, I don't listen to the radio anymore, but I listened yesterday driving here. And, Olin and Patrick Manley do a great job on the score, with Mully. Mully just really listens. He just, kind of moderates. He doesn't put his 2 cents in, but those two guys are good. Not really good. They're excellent.
Yes.
And, but, I started listening to some of the post game on ESPN. I thought that was just awful, and I quickly switched over. And the only reason I put on ESPN is I thought they'd have the live. They had an interview with Joniak with Ben, but then they didn't. I don't know if they went to the live media one. Well, the Score did, but later they played it. Maybe a half hour after, and a little bit of that. But I still got to hear it. So, if you want to compare one to the other, the Score was a lot better than ESPN, at least as far as post game. And then they had, after Olin and Patrick were done, Anthony Herron picked up and did the next show called the Post. And I've done some work with Anthony at the Score when I was doing work at the Score, and he's very knowledgeable. He was at he's part of the broadcast crew, the television broadcast crew for the Big Ten Network the night before for the Illinois-Wisconsin game. He's very good in that role. He's played in the league. He was a real good player at Iowa. He's very knowledgeable, and I think his insight is pretty darn good.
Ant Herron is outstanding. I would love to get him on this show because I think the work that he is doing, he should be considered for a network analyst job as opposed to an Adam Archuleta guy. By the way, Minister, thank you very much for your gratitude. Talk to you soon.
Ant is like I don't know. He's not a full-time employee with the Score. He's a fill-in guy, and he's got the Big Ten Network, and he's got some other stuff. But it's like he's really like I don't want to say a nomad, but he's got several different little jobs, but it's pretty lucrative for him.
Yeah, good for him. All right, I've asked for any more questions. I've got one in the queue, and it is about Gervon Dexter. There's some concern by a person or two in the chat room about his play. Can you evaluate Dexter for us, please?
Well, I read a thing this morning that said his pressure rate's the highest in the NFL for defensive tackles. Has he finished and gotten the sacks? No. But his play's been pretty darn good. And if you listen to the coaching staff is pretty darn happy. So the fans they're looking for one thing: sacks is the big number. And there's a lot more to that than just making a sack.
Indeed.
It's what you do in the run game. Do you pressure? Does your pressure help, as a pass rusher, help cause a bad throw or help cause a turnover or whatever? So there's a lot involved with that. Now, whether his pressure rate is an accurate number, I'd have to go back and look at the all 22 of every play played this year to really say yay or nay to that stat. But I'm just passing it on because I just read it this morning.
Well, and I think maybe Eric has it up on the screen. He says Dexter has a top 10 pressure rate of 7.5% among interior defensive linemen. His average time to pressure of 2.79 seconds is very close to the average time across all interior defensive linemen, which is at 2.75. oh boy, that is precise stuff. 2.7, 2.5. Some college kid is getting paid minimum wage to come up with those times.
Oh, I know. I mean, they got so many different stats now, and there's different, PFF's got stuff, Next Gen Stats has got stuff, and there's a couple others. And it's all good information as long as you use it properly and don't turn it into the Bible. Yeah. With Caleb's stat for holding on to the ball is probably one of the worst in the league. But how many times is he scrambling and doing other things and then get the ball off or running and makes the stat really worthless.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got some questions. We'll answer the ones that I've collected. A few questions came in the last minute, and then we'll get out of here. Let us start with D. Starren asking, would you rather have the Eagles coming off of a win or a loss? In your history in the NFL, you guys ever talk about that?
I think it's, being that they lost on the road to a division opponent, they're going to be ready. They're going to be up and ready for the game. The Eagles, I don't think, have played really good football the last few weeks, and there's been concern. So maybe you're getting them at the right time. But hey, the Bears are beat up too.
Yep.
Okay, but the players got a lot of confidence in themselves. So I think it's going to be a good game. There's no way I'm putting a guarantee on this one. I know.
No, don't.
I worked at Philly 1 year as a consultant. I know how hard it is to play at that place.
Indeed.
It's a very noisy stadium. Fans are a little bit different in Philadelphia. So, but I just hope for a real good game. You've won 8 out of 9. If they lose one, it's not a death sentence, but you've got to go up to Green Bay the next week. The good news is 3 out of the last 4 are at home.
That the schedule is not as daunting as it looked like a month ago, in my opinion. I agree. I think we can beat just about. I think I will go on a limb. I think we can beat every team on the schedule: the Eagles, the 49ers, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I want to get to their questions.
Hey, any given Sunday, you can throw that one out, but you got to get some people back. I think we're going to get Kyler and JJ back this week. Whether you get TJ back this week, that remains to be seen. Maybe Sewell's back this week. He had an elbow. How bad was the elbow? I don't know. So we'll find out. But they're obviously not playing with a full deck. But with Phillies having the receivers that they have, getting the corners back is really going to be helpful.
Indeed. J2K says only reason our schedule looks easier is because we're winning those games. I love it.
Well, right now they're ahead of where I had them, schedule wise. And like I said, 9 wins was what I was hoping for. And I think some people thought I was dreaming saying 9 going back and, end of August, beginning of September.
Oh, I'm sure some people were. Absolutely. Spawny asked, we talked about this on social media.
Yeah.
Let me read the question for our audio podcast. Will the strength and training staff be retained, or do you think Johnson replaces them, giving all the soft tissue injuries? Take it away, brother.
Okay. First of all, at the end of the year, been part of this for all my time with the Bears, we have a medical meeting at the end of the season. And the training staff is there, the strength staff is there, the coaching staff is there, and the medical staff is there, the doctors. And we go over every injury and what caused the injury, what could have prevented it, was that injury preventable, and whatever, and what are we going to do going forward? Is there something that needs to be to change. To just have a blanket statement that he's going to replace these guys because of soft tissue injury is an absolutely ridiculous statement, because you have to know all the facts, and that's what the meeting is about. To establish, and they already gone over some of this stuff before, but they put it all out, for the case of having a final meeting on it at the end of the year. So could it be related to the strength staff? It could be. Is it? I don't think so. I mean, some of the stuff is just freak stuff that happens. JJ did it on his own before he even came here. Okay, so and some of that stuff might be lingering guys did on their own too. We don't have the answers to that, but and some of these soft tissue injuries can be the result of the way what position was your body in when you were absorbing contact or whatever, and then it causes you to stretch a muscle or whatever. And again, that you're going to know that by reviewing it. Now, a lot of times, like hamstrings are preventable, but you don't necessarily put it on the strength staff. You put it on the player, because if the player, and that's one thing, and I've mentioned this before, that I learned from Rusty Jones. If anything pissed him off more than anything, it was a hamstring injury. And most times it's on the player because they're not properly hydrating themselves.
That's a great point, and really good stuff there, Greg. Somebody said, and I'm just trying to find it because I didn't put a star on it, but somebody said that perhaps part of the problem too was the Eberflus era with those holdover players. Many of them came back in 2025 to the Bears, but they were not put to the same physical test that this staff is, and maybe they brought the bad habits with them into 2025 and weren't prepared for this type of season.
Well, first of all, Ben did replace the strength coach. He got rid of Jimmy Arthur.
That's right.
I don't know why. I could probably find out just by calling Rusty, because Rusty and Jimmy are real close. But he elevated the assistant to the lead spot. Now, personally, I think a lot of Jimmy Arthur. So what was the reason he got dismissed? I don't have a clue. But I've worked with Jimmy for a number of years here, and he's very good. He's very knowledgeable. But for some reason, maybe they weren't on the same page or whatever. Ben wanted to make a change, and that's his priority and his right to do that. So whether he's going to do it again, they brought in another guy who was a new guy who was more of a powerlifting guy to work with, and so and he's the big scruffy guy you see and he never has a hat on sideline. He's a little bit older guy, but so there have been changes from last year to this year. Sometimes you just go through a run of injuries and similar injuries, and it's happenstance.
Yeah.
But again, the one thing I want to stress, I can go back to, Notre Dame, the fan base was screaming and hollering because they're having all these injuries this year. They got to fire the strength coach. He's useless. Did the strength coach get fired? No. It's especially like when you have like an ACL or a shoulder. I mean, those are contact injuries.
Yeah.
The hell does strength and fitness have to do with it? Besides nothing.
All right. Next question is, Greg, you take the job away because in December, and he's talking about the left tackle position. He says, Theo is a killer in the run game, which is when you want your best blocking offensive lineman. So DMAC 1963 is endorsing Theo over Ozzie.
Well, and I also said this is not my decision; it's a coaching decision.
Yeah, Right.
But I'm saying in general, the most important job of your left tackle is as a pass blocker. And Theo's also got, by far, the shortest arms of any left tackle in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't even close.
And from what you have seen, do you think that's part of the problem that he has had with his pass blocking, his arm length?
I have to really break it down. Sometimes he overextends, and that has nothing to do. But the length, you could see the difference, like with Ozzie yesterday. His arms were like an inch and a half longer, or maybe more than that, almost 2 inches longer.
Yeah.
But you could see it gives you more leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the wingspan too. The wingspan is huge difference, but it just gives you more leverage to work with. But at the same time, I think what's going to happen in future years is Theo's going to be a guard, and a damn good one.
Yeah.
Because then the arm length doesn't come into play as much.
Yeah.
There's two positions where you want guys with long arms. Actually, three. You want corner.
Mm-hmm.
Corners can make plays and we've seen it.
Right.
Defensive end and tackle. Length is very, very important. That's why they measure the arms.
Yep. All right. Another question here. And Greg, yesterday on X, you applauded the play of special teams, and D. Starren is asking, how did you like those knuckleball kickoffs?
I thought that was an interesting little wrinkle that they put in, and obviously they thought, let's try this. They must obviously had to work it in practice, see how it worked, and hell, they got caused the one to be down at the 2-yard line. There was one kick though, and it might be the difference in the NFL rules. The ball hit on the 22-yard line. And I was thinking but I think it's a 25-yard line is the thing, because if it's a 22, it should have been, the ball should have gone to the 40.
Right.
But it had to be hit on the 22 and then rolled, and they got a nothing return out of it. I'm just going back to what our XFL rule was. But in this case, the ball hitting originally at the 22 had to be fine because they let it go.
Okay. Breaking news.
What did you think of it?
You know what? First of all, applause for Richard Hightower. That was the best special teams performance, one of the best of the season.
The kickoff coverage was dramatically better.
So much better. It was great. And then the squib kick that Santos has been working on, I think he's starting to master that thing. That's going to be a problem, especially as that turf at Soldier Field gets colder and that ball is going to bounce all over the place. That's going to be a big effing problem for the opposing team.
He kicks a knuckleball, but how is the weather in a real windy day? How is that going to affect it? Is it going to, that's got to play into it too.
Yeah.
Is it going to cause the ball to go out of bounds? Is it going to cause the ball to hit earlier than you want it to hit or whatever? So, and those are things that I can't answer, but you do that stuff in practice to see how it works. Obviously it worked good in practice because it did it in the game.
And Tom says Hightower is still gone after the season. In his opinion, let's hold off on firing people until the entire season. He's not going to get fired in midseason. I still think he could potentially save his job if this team in special teams continues to improve the way I sense they have been.
Kickoff returns were better the last 2 weeks. So I mean there's been improvement.
Yeah, there has been. The other thing that I find fascinating is if I could get a job just evaluating kickoff, special teams play, that would be a fascinating job. The whole idea of these 11 guys on the field and staying in their lanes and tackling properly and so forth, to me is fascinating. And we don't get a lot of that with all these analysts. Everybody just wants to look at the offense and then a little bit of the defense. Special teams doesn't get any love.
Tobe and I had a big talk about this once, and really, Tobe made this statement. It's very true. He said, "I'm," meaning a special team coach, but he goes, "I'm the only coach on the team that works with both sides of the ball. I'm working with offensive players and I'm working with defensive
Great
players."
point.
And and he goes, "And they say we can't be a head coach. We got to work with the whole damn team."
Hey, by the way, Chris Taub, Kansas City Chiefs special teams
Dave
coach.
Taub.
Dave, sorry. He had some unpleasant words to say about the president when the president criticized the new kickoff.
Well, President and Dave is a staunch conservative. So
is he?
Yes.
That's awesome.
It was like, don't fuck with my area, bro.
He said he doesn't know what he's talking about. I love the candidness. That was awesome. And the fact that he's conservative makes it even more perfect. I'm sorry. Brandon said, I just looked at the next 3 games, Green Bay and Detroit. This is going to come down to the wire. Take a look if you have time. All 3 of us have 3 games we could lose. Let me pull up the schedule here and get your thoughts on this one here. This is, of course, it's the bottom row. That's what we got left in the regular season. Friday at Philly, then the following week at Green Bay, then back home for 2 home games, Browns and Packers. Week 17, we go out for a Sunday night football game against the 49ers, and then week 18, we finish the season against Detroit. What are your thoughts on these final 6 games of the season?
Yeah, I think they got to win 3.
Yes.
They go 3-3, I think they're in the playoffs.
I agree.
They win 1, they already hit my goal of 9 games. A lot of this is what's the health going to be? And it's not only the health for the Chicago Bears, it's the health for Green Bay and Detroit, especially too. Like Detroit lost their tight end Laporte, and he's done for the year. That's a huge part of their offense.
A huge
and
part.
Now
yes.
It makes it that much easier because you don't have to worry about them.
I'm with you. I am with you. And if you protect your home field, Browns, Packers, and Lions, then those are the 3 ones you're looking at.
Who got by the way, speaking of tight ends, who got the concussion yesterday? Was it Loveland?
I don't think so.
Ben mentioned, and he goes, "We'll have to see how that goes." And in the post-game presser. But
I think it was Dominique Robinson. Wasn't it Dominique?
It might have been, but I know, Loveland took a big whack on that pass over the middle, and I don't, where he was just short. It was on the second last drive. I just originally, when he said that, I thought maybe that was Loveland because of the hit he took. But I forgot about D-Rock took a pretty good blow, too.
Getting back to the schedule for a moment, Brandon says Green Bay is at Detroit and at Denver. Those could be 2 potential losses. And
don't they play each other Thursday? Who's Detroit play Thursday?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's take a look here. That's right. It's Thanksgiving Day. I forgot about this Thursday. Thanksgiving football on Google tells us it's the Packers and the Lions, the early game. Indeed.
Somebody's got to lose.
Can both of them lose?
Somebody's got. Well, they can tie.
They could tie. That would help us, right?
That's a half a win and a half a loss.
I like it. I like it. All right, this has been a great time with you, Greg. Really enjoyed it. Over 100 minutes of football talk. You're not guaranteeing a win against the Philadelphia Eagles, but tell me, what's your level of optimism?
I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't have Baltimore in the victory column, and I didn't have this game in the victory column. Thinking, I know how tough Philly is at home, but what I didn't know at the time, and I haven't studied Philly in a few weeks, but they haven't been playing good lately. And so, and I know there's been, a lot of people criticizing the play of Jalen Hurts. really wasn't thinking about the play calling, but they do have a new offensive coordinator, and so that's probably playing a little bit into it. It'll be interesting. And like I said, Orlovsky had this one stat that kind of blew my mind, that their running back, Saquon Barkley, has taken more losses, hits for a loss, this season than Ashton Genty, and Genty has a bunch as a rookie.
Yeah, I saw that. It's quite telling. Quite telling what's going on there in Philly. And I love the point that J2K is making. There are no dominant teams in the NFL this season.
No, but arguably Philly is, at least on paper, the Rams might be the best team in the NFC right now.
Without a doubt.
But on paper, Philly's the world champion. And that roster isn't that much different than it was last year. In fact, it might even be a little bit stronger. I mean, this is one of the best teams in football. You go into Philly and win, this is a damn good football team then.
They are. And you know what, though, one of the things that's interesting, somebody mentioned this earlier in the show in the chat, the locker room at Philadelphia, there's some uneasiness with Brown complaining about how he's being used by the offense. There seems to be maybe some of the players are looking at Jalen Hurts and saying, why aren't you throwing the ball? Because he's very conservative with letting go of the ball. So and then Lane Johnson, I said Brandon Lawson just put that up. Lane their left
Johnson's out too.
Gone. So what you said about injuries on the other team could affect.
Lane Johnson got hurt like a week ago, and he had a Liz Frank injury. There was no way he even if he is able to play at the end of the year, there was no way he was playing against the Bears. He's going to be out a minimum of 4 weeks. They're not fully healthy, as are the Bears, but losing a key offensive lineman, that's big. But they still got some really good wide receivers who can, if you pass block for Jalen Hurts, he can pick you apart.
Yep.
So I know what he said. You said they wanted me to compare Caleb and Jalen. The one thing that cracks me up, you put him like a shot of Caleb on the field and throwing a pass. You put a shot of Jalen Hurts. You'd swear Jalen Hurts is 2 inches taller than Caleb.
Yeah, but he's not.
Caleb's a quarter inch taller than Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
It's because of their total different body structure. Jalen Hurts is a lot longer. He's got long legs. Caleb's got short legs. Short-legged guys look shorter than they really are. Caleb's longer in the torso. But it's just funny how the perception is that Hurts is a tall guy and he's not.
One last point that I wanted to share is my concern about the defense is Tremaine Edmonds being placed on IR, and the earliest he could be back is week 16 against the Packers on December 20th. Yesterday, they got away without having Tremaine, but
yeah, he's a big loss. He's been having a great year.
Yeah. Now, if I'm going to throw something at you, Greg, if the Bears linebackers without Tremaine continue to improve, then maybe it's coaching and not Tremaine. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Tremaine his contract doesn't have to be extended. Maybe we can find a replacement because at some point
he's been a playmaker.
I love him.
Yeah, and putting him at will and having him, which I like because he's so much rangier than TJ. And then you're having him outside sometimes doing some stuff off the edge, and that his length and the speed gives you an extra, really a speed rusher. And when you want to use him that way, it's a tough loss, but hey, next guy up, and you deal with it. He's not going to miss the rest of the season. He's going to miss four weeks. He's already missed one, so now there's just 3 more games.
Yep. And you think that there's a slight chance that TJ Edwards could be returning Friday?
We'll see. He had 2 injuries. One was a hand, and I don't remember what the other one was.
Oh, is it a hip? I think it was a hip.
You know, so if he can play, that's a plus. If Sewell can play, that's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Eagles are going to look at the game tape and see what they can find on these 2 guys that played yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and see what they think is a weakness. Excuse me, and they're going to attack it.
When are we doing our next show, Greg? Next Monday?
Right now, Monday, because I think I'm going home Saturday or Sunday.
Okay. Well, you know, you can get the StreamYard in your car. Are you driving?
Yeah.
Oh, too bad. I was so we could do a show while you're driving, but since you're driving, I don't want telecast you having an accident.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm going to have my furry friend in the back here, so you know, I got to stop to let him out.
Absolutely. Yeah, take care of business. Brandon says, Greg and Aldo, you know I'm on the border, and purple, green, and yellow are real sick and real quiet right now. Yeah, let's keep it that way.
Green and yellow has been mouthy today.
Okay.
You know, but no, nobody's talking up in Minnesota anymore.
Yeah. Bruce Ollie, Walter Jordan,
and
with
actually,
some good advice.
Michigan's been fairly quiet too, because they haven't played good. They almost lost to the Giants yesterday.
Yeah, indeed. Don't podcast and drive is the advice from our buddy. Yep. All right, that's going to do it. Tomorrow, it's Buffon 55. Now, John is not available tomorrow, so I might fill in for him, or I'm working on trying to get a guest co-host. We'll see. And then on Wednesday, it's Bare Their Souls with all the hilarity, a 3.5-hour show on Wednesday night. So hopefully you can join us. And of course, the football coverage continues throughout the weekend. NHL hockey. I don't know if hockey is going to have a show. Yeah, they will. Hockey will have a show this week. Bardon Talking Hockey with Vinny Parisi. For Greg Gabriel, I'm Aldo Gandia. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
See you next week. Thank you.